I'm going to talk about my encounter on a mountain road on my bike with a felon. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Hey, you might have heard this story before if you're one of my subscribers, but half of it got cut out. So here we go. I'm going to tell you about what happened to me on a mountain road, Carson Pass, going over the Sierras on my bicycle. I was on a bicycle tour. I was leaving Stockton, California, heading over, going to Tahoe, really. So I'm up on Highway 88, Carson Pass, and I approach a area called Kirkwood Ski Resort, and it's kind of closed down. You know, it's in between seasons. It's snowy day. I'm getting hailed on, rained on, miserable day, and I'm on my bike, kind of cold, and I roll up to this old store, restaurant thing that's kind of closed, and it's a place where I can get shelter and, you know, get under a little awning and stuff and park the bike. So I pull over in there, and there's really not a lot of traffic, you know. So, but I need a place to dry out, and then I'll continue on. It looked like it was going to clear off. So I'm standing there. There's an outlet there, too. Thank God, an outlet where I can charge up because I need to use my phone and stuff. So I'm standing there for like a half hour and, you know, hoping that the rain stops. And the car's going by. One cop went by, pulled through, and then just looked at me and took off, no problem. And at this point, they wouldn't bother me for using the charger because he knows it's pouring rain on me, and or the outlet. So anyway, this big truck, kind of an older truck, rolls in, and this guy jumps out, and he's running toward me, pulling up his pant leg, and I'm like melting down. My heart sunk. I'm like, what is that? Is this guy gonna pull a gun, you know? And he's like, hey! And all I could hear is him yelling, and he's pulling up his pant leg, and he goes, is that an outlet? And I go, yeah, it's a live outlet. And he he goes, I got to plug in my ankle bracelet. It's gonna run out of battery, and I'm gonna get in trouble, you know. And they'll come and get me and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, plug it in, you know. And I'm like getting out of the way, unplug one of my chargers, and he's standing there talking to me. He goes, whew, thanks, dude, you know. He goes, I got this ankle bracelet. I'm on parole, you know, and they check on me, and I go, oh shit, oh, sorry, man. And I'm like, oh, God, you know. And I was just thinking, what's going to happen today, you know? And so, anyway, he just asked me a few questions. Now, I learned later, in the last video, I didn't know this, that was his brother in the truck. And he was just sitting there. And so, like, they're waiting to charge up. And he's asking me questions, you know. And I told him, no, I'm just here, resting up here. I was getting dumped on, drying out. And then I'm going to head up the road a little ways. And I go, there's some Swiss people that were touring behind me. They passed me. I think they're camping up the way here, so I might try to catch up with them. And he goes, oh, cool, you know. And he's asked me just, you know, normal questions, you know. We were just shooting the shit. And then he goes, don't you ever worry out here alone on your bike? And I go, no, I said I'm always aware. I have an awareness of what's going on all the time. I try to keep that. I go, but I don't over-worry. I said, I carry my bear spray, my little horn, and my protection, you know, and I said, that's the best I can do, right, you know? And he said, yeah, right on, man, yeah, that's good, good on you, you know? And then we just shot the shit a little bit more, and I was like, oh, man. And then finally, like at some point, these kids get out of the truck, and they run up over there to us, and I felt a little better because, you know, there was kids there, and he said, oh, that's his niece and nephew, and that's his brother in the truck. Anyway, we talked for a little bit, and then I dried out, and I said, hey, man, I'm going to take off, you know, got my stuff, and I headed toward Tahoe, and he said, hey, man, take it easy, have a good trip, be safe, you know, and all that. I headed up the highway a little bit, and I'm like, where can I ditch into the woods? Now, this is just a tip, okay, because I didn't make this a real tip last time. The tip here is, I know they're back there, and if they were casing me, if that was really going to happen, you know, then I'm going to be like, okay, I'm not going to be obvious and just camping on the side of the road or at a campground or, you know, and so I was looking for places to ditch into the woods and also not leave tracks. And I've had to do this before. I've talked about it in other videos. If you do feel uncomfortable and you got to bail off the highway with your bike, the best thing to do is find a spot where there's not a lot of dirt, where you're not going to see bike tracks going off, you know. Scope it out for a while. Don't panic, because you don't have to go hide immediately. Just take your time, and you're cruising along. And that's what I did. I looked for a spot. I rolled into the woods, and I didn't set up camp for a while, and I saw that truck go by, and it went by kind of slow, but they were fishing that day, and it was lakes were just thawing out, so they were catching the early fishing and stuff, and so they went by, and I thought, well, that doesn't surprise me. They're going to go by back and forth if they're fishing a little bit. And I got down in there and set up camp, and before I set up camp, I let it get dark. I didn't turn on any lights. I didn't make any noise. And I didn't get on the phone or anything like that, listening to tunes, nothing. I kept from stepping on things, breaking branches, things of that sort. And I just laid low and stealthy, because even though it seemed okay, there was a little oddness there, and I wanted to make sure that I slept good that night. So, yeah, that's what happened to me. I've got a lot more of those kind of incidents that happen, but that's one that sticks with me. The ankle bracelet and the guy running up to me. Anyway, give me feedback on that if you've ever had anything like that happen, or you've been in that situation, and if you have any tips, or if you have any stories, share them with me in the comments, because there's going to be a time where I share other people's stories on here. I'll make a special about that. We'll share your stories and get on here, and we'll do some live also. Thanks, you guys. Please like and subscribe if you like the stories, and they're going to keep coming.